Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation. I will have a camera in just a second. Don't know what's going on with it. Let's have a look. Oh, dear me. But yes, welcome to Cardiff City World. And we're here for the preview of Cardiff City versus Stoke. There we go. Tomorrow afternoon in the Championship. It's going to be an interesting one. Can Cardiff City finally score a goal at home? Stoke not in very good form, not having a very good season. So it's on paper, you're thinking it's not going to be a particularly exciting game. It's not going to be a feast of football, shall we say. But you never know. You never know. And I think one thing which you can say is sometimes when you've got two poor teams, it can go better than expected, I guess, is one option. But let's do what we do. Let's talk about Stoke first of all. We'll talk about Cardiff, and we'll kind of run through the different options, the different things. How can Cardiff City focus on beating Stoke City? How can Cardiff City focus on creating more? Because I think that's one of the biggest issues we've got at the moment is we're not creating anything at all. So we'll start with Stoke City. As I say, Stoke are having not a great season, particularly at the moment. I can't bring the championship table up, which is handy, so I'm going to have to switch to my phone. But they are not the Stoke even of a couple of years ago, which first came down from the championship and had a few big hitters in the side and whatnot. They've got a couple of good players. It would be naive to sit here and say that they haven't got any good footballers because they have. But on the other side, look, similar to Blackburn in the midweek, we should be beating them at home. We should be beating them. So at the end of the day, Cardiff have got to do the manager's got to do the right thing. Cardiff City got to do the right things. The crowds, but everyone's got to be in the same place. Regarding Stoke, they currently sit 19th in the table. They don't score a lot of goals. But my worry is, as Reece has just said in the comments there, is if Stoke were to get an early goal, I do think that the frustration and the anxiety within the crowd is going to settle in quickly. There's something going on at the stadium at the moment, and it's not good, shall we say. And there's lots of reasons for that. You can't just put it on the fans. You can't just put it on the players. There's a whole host of reasons. At the moment, Cardiff season is stagnating, and I think until we can create a bit, we're going to continue to see that stagnation. But I think it will be interesting. There's a few injuries for Cardiff. Looks like Stoke have got a couple of injuries. I saw some stuff on social media saying that there's some problems within the Stoke squad and they don't really like the manager. So hopefully Cardiff can capitalise on that. But Cardiff City have been conceding, but they've also been not scoring, particularly at home. It's been very, very poor. Stoke are the visitors. So let's dig into them. I apologise, I repeated myself a little bit then. It's because I was trying to get the Stoke information up on the screen. I watched Stoke recently. Who was it against? Oh, I forget who it was. And I didn't think much of them. I thought they were quite poor. I think they lost to Coventry last Saturday as well. They've lost 5 of the last 6 games. So, Cardiff have to view this as a game that they can win. And ultimately, that's what it's going to come down to. They have a few players. I particularly like Vidigal and Gooch. So it's going to be a real case of whether Cardiff can capitalise and find those areas. But Cardiff have to create something. The manager's got to do something different, in my opinion. And then if he doesn't, and he tries to kind of go the same way they've been going, I think it's a real issue and a real problem that Cardiff have got. And as I've said numerous times recently, the manager's got to learn and adapt as he's going. my opinion, Cardiff City manager should be naming an attacking side, because that will lift the crowd before the game has even started. As is tradition, though, we're going to have a look at the Stoke side first and look at where maybe some of the dangers could come. Stoke are going to set up to try and be solid and not concede goals. They're going to try and keep a clean sheet and then nick one. Set pieces, things like this. I don't think they're going to come out all guns blazing. I'd be surprised if they do, because they do concede. So my computer's being so slow, it's unbelievable. If you've got any questions, I'll break tradition for the preview. Normally I just fly through it, but if you have got any questions or any views on the game, do drop them in the comments and I'll have a look. Right, so yeah, Stoke did beat QPR recently. Ellis Sims is scored for the second successive game at Coventry, and he's flying for Coventry at the moment. But in regards to Stoke, Stephen Schumacher, there's certainly, similar to Cardiff, there's a bit of frustration around the way he plays and the tactics he uses, if they're a bit negative and stuff like that. In terms of how they set up, they tend to set up in like a 4-2-3-1, similar to Cardiff. You have Lowe up front, who's a decent striker, and then you've got Gooch. Lauren Kundal was who they went with on the weekend, with Baker and Pearson as the sort of pivot. It should suit Cardiff. Like, I look at the side and there's no one in there where I'm like, I really fear and I think, they could cause Cardiff some problems. There's a couple of good players, your Gooch in particular on the right hand side, but I'd like to think Joanne Collins can do a decent job and set up, but they play quite narrow and they try to kind of get that overload in the middle of the pitch, and that's where I think Cardiff are missing the boat, not just for this game, but generally speaking. I feel like Cardiff don't utilise the wide areas anywhere near enough. And I think that actually, when you look at our playing squad, that's where we could actually do some damage, and that's where we could actually create some chances and certainly create some spaces. But it'll be interesting how we set up, because whilst I do believe we need to be a bit more attacking, I do think that the way they set up front could cause our defence some issues if we don't adjust to it. Moving on to Cardiff City, they've got to change something. So for me, that starts with Siopis and Turnbull. As a two, that's the pivot. That gives you protection for the defence. Siopis can sweep up and the rest of it, but it also allows you to progress the ball and to play into Colwell, into the wide players, and try and find those half spaces to create something. My biggest fear with the manager tomorrow of Cardiff City is, number one, Wintle will play ahead of Turnbull in the pivot. Number two, I fear that he'll rotate it Ruben Colwell. He's done it every time. He's got a bit of momentum. He's had a couple of good games. He seems to rotate him. And my biggest fear is that we might see a Rawls, Wintle, Siopis midfield in a 4-3-3 with a Tete through the middle and Bowler and Grant in the wide areas. For me, if he names a side which is, the back four, maybe even put Esperand at the left back, and you put Siopis, Turnbull, Colwell, and then you have Bowler on the left, and you put, I think Mate's out, so put Tanner on the right and play Grant through the middle, and that will give us good options in the wide areas, which is the area which I feel Stoke are most susceptible to being got at, because they play narrow, particularly in the forward areas. So Cardiff utilise the wide areas, and obviously Esperand at left back is going to be very attacking, which potentially is an issue because Gooch on the right hand side for Stoke is pretty good, quite dangerous player. But because he likes to cut in a lot, Siopis should be able to close that down. And Esperand, he can defend a little bit. He's just an attacking fullback. But even if they go for Collins, I think there's not. I wouldn't be dreadfully disappointed if Collins, if they went with a normal normal back four. I thought Jamal Collins was all right against Blackburn, no problem there. So I haven't got a problem if he keeps that same back four. It's the pivot in midfield. That double pivot for me, it has to be Siopis and Turnbull. Any other combination, and I think I'll be disappointed, even if it was Rawls coming back in. Whilst that Rawls gives us a bit more in terms of progressing the play compared to Wintle, I want to see Turnbull and Siopis together as a duo, because I think they complement each other, and I think that's the way to get the best out of Ruben Colwell. That's the best to get. And then if you play, I saw a discussion, and I know everyone's talking about playing Karlan Grant through the middle. I think most people I speak to seem to think that's a good option. But I did see a couple of people arguing, and the manager's quotes obviously saying, you need someone to play off, and you'd have to play two up front. I don't necessarily agree with that, because Ruben Colwell shape and body size is completely different to your stereotypical attacking midfielder or your number 10. Like, he's a big boy. He's big and he's strong, but he's also skillful and clever. And I think if you need that sort of bigger presence up front with Grant, Colwell's close enough to do a bit of hold-up play and kind of utilize him in that position. Let's be attacking. And I know, like Reese has just said in the comments there, play Esperand on the wing. I would give Bowler a chance on the left, because I think he is quite direct. The problem he has is he always constantly cuts in. I haven't always liked his attitude, but I think there's no denying that you can see he's got a skill set which could trouble teams. But in order to utilize that skill set, I believe that he really, really needs to play on the left, beat his man, put some crosses in the box. Grant is very capable. He's not I would argue he keeps holding the ball better than Atete does. He doesn't fall over as much as Atete. He battles and he works. And most of all, if Karlan Grant can make runs in behind Stoke, will create space for Ruben Colwell. And if Ruben Colwell does get space, you fancy him to create something, to score. Like, he's a very, very quality player. He just hasn't been utilised properly by his teammates, by the coaches, whatever you want to say. So for me, for Cardiff, the big areas for them will be trying to utilise those wide areas and get Stoke. If they can do that, Stoke are there for the taking. And it's not to be disrespectful to Stoke, a good championship side overall, but same as Blackburn on Tuesday, they were there for the taking. That was one of the poorest Blackburn sides I've seen in probably 5-6 years. They were really, really poor, and we didn't get at them anywhere near enough. And as I've said a few times now over the last couple of days, the manager has an opportunity. If he names an attacking lineup on paper, plays Grant through the middle, plays Turnbull, Siopis, etc., if he named that will lift the crowd before the game, because they will think, oh, hello, we're gonna have a go. And then you start fast, you start aggressive, you move the ball quickly, lots of movement off the ball. You get a couple of early goals, the crowd settles, the team settles, and Stoke will fall apart, because they have to come out. And if Cardiff could get an early goal, Stoke cannot then just sit in. They have to come out if they want to get anything from the game, which is when we can really do damage and we can really utilise the transitions and hit them on the break and get at them. Stoke are there for the taking. But the manager's got to be brave. He's got to make the right decisions. I would like to see Ashford on the bench again, or Colwell Jr., but most importantly, it's about getting that first 11 right. Let's get some round pegs in round holes. Let's play the left-footed winger on the left wing. Let's play Turnbull, the best technical midfielder we've probably got outside of Ramsey, and he's aggressive and works hard. Let's play him alongside Siopis, because they complement each other. It's frustrating, because it's not just me saying it. There's a lot of City fans, football fans saying it. They don't really grasp or understand why he's stubbornly picking certain players and sticking with the same kind of tactics. We talked about recently, going a bit more direct doesn't mean that you're suddenly like a long ball team. Just go a little bit more direct to mix it up a bit. You've got players who can take the ball at pace. You've got players who can take the ball under pressure. Like, I look at Carlin Grant, I look at Jeju, I look at Colwell, even Bowler, like Tanner. They've all got very, very good first touches. They're all very technically gifted players. So utilize that, fire the ball into them, and then play off them. Get some bloody movement off the ball. Stop cutting inside of the wide players unless you've got an overlap, which is going to be there, and actually put Stoke under pressure. Like, if Cardiff go at Stoke from the first minute, Cardiff should win. Like, it's as simple as that. But the aggression, the intensity, the mentality is all got to be there. If everyone's going to kind of be stood still and stubborn and sulking, it's just going to be the same shit, different day. And for me, that's what's frustrating fans. That's what's not good enough. And until that is changed, I worry for Cardiff and I worry for the manager, because as anyone who watches my content will know, like, I'm behind the manager. I think he's the right man to take Cardiff City forward. However, he's not helping himself whatsoever. And he also he's turning the fans who are not sure against him by the things he's saying, the lack of accountability on his own part when he does get things wrong. And the style of football has not been enjoyable to watch. And that's okay if you're winning games and you're up at the top of the league. But when you're struggling and you're not scoring and things are a bit depressing, that's when that type of football becomes an issue. It's simple as that. Fans will accept that methodical or possession-based football, which is not always exciting to watch, if you're winning football matches. But if you don't win football matches, it is a problem. It's simple as that. For some reason, my Wi-Fi is dropping quite considerably, so it looks like I'm a bit blurry. Hopefully the audio is okay, so you can all hear and whatnot, and we'll crack on. In terms of players to watch from Stoke City, I think Gooch is the one who I think could cause Cardiff a lot of issues. He cuts inside a lot, he drops in the hole, and he can sometimes be a bit tricky to pick up. But I got a lot of faith in Sarpis. I got a lot of defensively faith in terms of a one-on-one situation in Jamalu Collins. I think that defensively is only like his main weakness, I guess, or his only weakness that I really see regularly is he sometimes switches off when the ball comes in from the other side at the back post. But I don't think that's unique to him, and it's just something which happens to players. You've got to be aware, and you've got to be aware of what's coming at all times. Gooch, I think, would be the one, although I also do like Baker, number 8. He plays for Stoke, who sits in the hole, and he's a good passer of the football. They play quite narrow, Stoke, so like in some ways that should suit Cardiff. I just want us to be super aggressive from the very first minute. I want us to attack and really push for an early goal, because I think an early goal, the crowd will be happy, the team will relax, and we've got some good footballers. Like we've seen at the start of the season, this manager can get a tune out of these players. So it's not a case of, it's not there, they're not good enough. I think it's just finding the right way for them to play and the right way to get the best out of them. And at the start of the season, I thought the manager was doing a very good job of getting the best out of some players who previously had not looked good enough. So the manager's got to earn his money now, and he's got to do the right things. Hopefully he takes that opportunity to lift the crowd before the game. And it's just whether we can take advantage of some stuff. The wingers stay wide. Striker go in behind to create space for Colwell to find on the edge of the box. Not rocket science, but it is what it is. Interestingly, I saw some comments about his. He said his analysts have been looking at certain things, and if we play Grant through the middle, we won't win the high balls and we won't get the crosses. But I'm all for analysts. I think analysts and analysis is vital for taking a football team forward and a football club forward. You have to have it, and it's absolutely a massive tool to improve your knowledge, to improve your understanding, to improve your tactics. But there's one thing which I would always back over stats, analysis, etc., and that's always the eye test. What you can see when you're watching a game, because it's always very interesting. For instance, this season, when I've been going with my son, he tends to focus very much on watching Ruben Corwell, like as an individual, rather than, he watches the game, but he focuses on Ruben Corwell because he's a local lad and because he's a young lad, but also because he plays in the same position as my son. So I find myself kind of watching him quite closely, and it's very interesting when you focus on one player. You see things that when you're watching the game as a whole, you see little things that you don't necessarily see generally. And I'd always back the eye test over anything. And I think anyone who's seen Karlan Grant this season, I know there's people who think his final ball and his decision making is not up to it. You can't doubt his work rate. You can't doubt he tries for the football club. He moves. He moves off the ball. I think he's suited to playing through the middle. It's pretty simple, but according to the analysis, he does more damage off the left. But in terms of the comments about the high balls and we don't put crosses in and we don't win high balls. So that makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. But let's look at the eye test. We've been crying out for a striker or a forward player who runs in behind. The wingers don't go in behind, the fullbacks, looking for diagonal balls. They cut inside all the time. Everything becomes a bit congested. Ruben Corwell's got everyone too close to him, and the strikers doesn't run in behind. So we've never got like a little through ball or a little ball through because the option's not there. So yeah, it's very frustrating time. But we've got to get behind the team, get behind the manager, get behind the boys, and hopefully he can make the right decisions tomorrow and take us on, because very winnable game tomorrow. And if Cardiff can get a good, the result is what counts. Of course it is. But I would love to see a good performance from Cardiff tomorrow against a team which they can and probably should be winning. And then, you look at the next 3 games. They have 3 tough games after the Stoke game. You've got Bristol away, Huddersfield at home, and Ipswich at home. Very, very difficult games. So Cardiff have got to find a bit of form and got to find those performances, because Ipswich and Hull have been flying. Very, very good teams. Bristol City, all right, not so much. We beat them at home. There'll be a different prospect away from home. The crowd will be up. They'll want revenge. So Cardiff need this result tomorrow, because I tell you what, if we were to lose another game, then I think, look, yes, there's probably 3 teams worse than us. But if you look at the form table, we're down the bottom of that. I think, let's have a look. So the only teams with worse form in the last 5 games than Cardiff City would be Stoke, Millwall, Rotherham, and the Jacks. There's the only teams who got worse form in the last 5 games than us. So you tell me, if Cardiff were to lose to Stoke tomorrow, they could quite conceivably also lose the next 3 games. If they lose 4 on the bounce, they're bang. I don't care what anyone says, we'll be banging the relegation battle. We might be on the cusp of it, but we'll be banging it. So let's be positive. Let's go and get the win that we're capable of getting tomorrow. In terms of man to watch for Cardiff City tomorrow, I'm going to go with Ruben Corwell. I was toying with the idea of Turnbull, but I'm not convinced he's going to start. Although, do you know what I think he might do? is I think he might put Colwell on the bench and he might try Turnbull as the number 10 again, which in my opinion is a mistake again. But we'll see. Can't say he's going to make a mistake before he does it. I just have no confidence that we're going to, Tete and Winter won't be in that starting lineup. So I don't know. The atmosphere's got to get better in the crowd in the stadium as well. Like the fans have got to. I know there's frustration and anxiety, and people are pissed off. But you've got to put that to one side. Get behind the team, because we need a win tomorrow. Make no mistake. Stoke City are there for the taking, but Cardiff City need 3 points by hook or crook. We need 3 points. Ruben Colwell is the one who looks the most creative in that side. And if we can play a bowler on the left or an Esprat, like let's play wingers and as wingers and keep them wide. Play Grant through the middle, try and get him in behind and create a space for Ruben Colwell to do some damage. We know he's capable, but maybe it's not so easy to be a number 10 if your two wingers are 5 yards away from you. Your striker in front of you is 5 yards away from you, and they're all enclosing into your space where you want to drop into those half spaces to make something happen. We've got to look after the ball a bit more. But first of all, like, don't criticise your own players in that 90 minutes. Screaming abuse at players and all the rest of it. It's embarrassing. Like, one thing which I've always, or certainly as I was growing up in Ninian Park, is that we always stuck with the team and got behind that team. And the atmosphere was always, for that 90 minutes, was, even if we were losing, the crowd was loud and behind the team, and we stuck together. We need that at the moment. And I think the playing squad needs that. The manager definitely needs it. So let's get behind the side and be fans, support our club, support our boys, and we can save the moans and the groans for afterwards if things don't go our way, or we still see things we're not happy with. Fine. Air it on social media, air it afterwards on the phone-ins and whatever the podcasts may be, whatever it may be. But for that 90 minutes, let's get the job done and support the boys. My prediction is Cardiff City 2, Stoke City 0. Optimistic man of the match performance from Ruben Colwell incoming. But I think a lot of it will depend on the manager, how he sends them out, how he sets them up, etc. Put all your predictions and stuff in the comments. As always, this is a Cardiff City fan channel. So if you want to get involved, you want to do something on the channel, get involved, do it, get in touch, and we'll find space for you. We can do it. If you want to send videos of predictions, you want to send vlogs, you want to send videos that talk about the game at halftime, full time, whatever it may be, cardiffcityworld@gmail.com. Send them over. We'll have the post-match show tomorrow evening. I'm not 100% sure what time it is. I think it'll be 7, but look out on social media for that. That'll be the post-match show with Rob and Matt, and they'll be talking about the game. Saturday will be 5 things we learned from Cardiff City versus Stoke with myself. Next week, then, we've got the history of Cardiff City, episode 1 with Terry Phillips, the official club historian, is making his own series on the channel. Cardiff City phone-in Monday, Super Kevin scripted Tuesday. It's a whole 7 days a week, Cardiff City content. Get involved and make sure you watch the Flower Hour tomorrow with the boys after the game. Appreciate you all. Take care. Spread the word about Cardiff City World. I apologise about my voice and everything. I've been really rough for the last couple of days, but I wanted to stick to the schedule and stuff. Take care. God bless. Nice one.